Welcome to how to create an inflated 3D frilly text effect in Adobe Photoshop. Learn how to create this shiny, realistic looking balloon effect that you can use in your own projects and designs. Hi, I'm Jonathan Lamb from Tuts Plus, and in this video, we'll take you through step by step on how to create this unique balloon-like 3D effect using Photoshop's 3D tool options and adjustment layer settings. So before we begin, make sure to check out Envato Elements. With just one subscription, you'll have unlimited access to assets similar to the ones we'll be showcasing in this video. Millions of creative digital assets with a simple commercial licensing, and you can cancel at any time. Subscribe now with the link in the description below. So let's start by going over what assets we need to complete this tutorial. First, we need a Cintiq script font, the font bump pattern, a Studio Lights setup image, and finally, a background image. In this tutorial, we'll be using this plywood texture here, but feel free to use your own. You'll find links to all of these assets in the description below this video. So let's get started in Adobe Photoshop. Let's create a new document and make it 1250 by 800 pixels. Then we're going to use the horizontal type tool. Click anywhere on the canvas and type in frill. Make sure you're using the Cintiq script font. And then we're just going to move this to the center of our canvas. Then once you're happy with the positioning, go to the text layer, right click on that, and then we want to choose Create Work Path. Once you've done that, you'll see that there has been a path created outlining our text. Press A on the keyboard to select the direct selection tool. Then over on the top options bar here, we want to click on the path operations and then choose Merge Shape Components, like so. And then once we've done that, we want to pick the rectangular marquee tool, create a small selection like this. So let's go ahead and zoom in here so you can see what we're doing. So just a small little selection, and this will represent the frills around the edges of our balloon effect. So once you've done that, we can go ahead and create a new layer. And let's go ahead and name this pattern. Then select the gradient tool and set the foreground and background colors. So the foreground colors will be white and the background colors will be black. In the options bar at the top here, make sure to select the foreground to background option for our gradient fill, and then choose the reflected gradient icon at the top here, and then making sure that the pattern layer is selected and that we still have our selection. We want to click and drag from the center of our selection here to the top, like so, to create our gradient fill. Now, with the selection still active, go to Edit, select Define Pattern. For our pattern name, type in frill, click OK, and then press Ctrl D to deselect your selection. Now let's go ahead and hide the pattern layer for now, and we want to create a new layer below it, and this time we're going to name it frill. Go to Edit, select Fill, change the content to Pattern, select the frill pattern that you just created, and then select Script. Choose the Place Along Path option in the drop-down box, and now click OK. This will open up the Place Along Path options. Now, for these settings, we want to put the pattern scale to 1, change the spacing to 0 or keep it at 0. Then we want to check the adjust spacing to fit box and put the angle at -90 degrees. The distance from path to 0. Make sure that alternate patterns is unchecked, so the box is left empty. Scale progression is at 100%. Make sure that skip symbol rotation is also unchecked, and that the color randomness is at 0. And lastly, the brightness randomness, we want to change this to 0.5. Click OK. And now if we zoom out here, you'll see that our frills have now been added to the outline of our text. Excellent. Now let's go ahead and control click on our text layer to select the text again. Then select our frill layer. And then here we're just going to hit the delete button. Like so. So we may have to hit the delete button twice to get rid of the frills which are inside the text. Now let's go ahead and create the 3D layers. Make sure that your text layer is selected, then go to 3D and select New 3D Extrusion from selected layer. And this should set up a new 3D layout for you, which will include the Properties panel and the 3D panel. Now, if these don't appear, you can easily go ahead and make them appear by going to Windows and selecting 3D and selecting Properties, like so. Now, once you've done that, let's go ahead and select the frill layer. And then from here, we want to go to 3D and select New Mesh from Layer. And then select Depth Map 2 and select Plane. Excellent. Now we want to select both 3D layers. So select the frill layer and also select the text layer. So let's go ahead and rename this the text layer. So select both of these by pressing Control on the keyboard and then go to 3D and select Merge 3D Layers. And this will bring both the frill and the text into a single layer. Now in the 3D panel, let's go ahead and select the current view. And in the options bar here, we can use any of these tools to going ahead and change the view of our 3D scene, like so. So let's go ahead and change the view into an angle that we like. And then back on our 3D panel, let's go ahead and adjust the 3D mesh settings. Select the text in the 3D panel. Then over in our properties, we're going to change the extrusion depth here to 5. And then we want to go ahead and click on the cap icon here. And from here, we're going to choose this drop-down menu, and we're going to change it from front to front and back. Change the bevel width to 1%. Change the contour to half round. Keep the angle at 45%. And let's change the inflate strength to 15%, like so. Now let's go ahead and select the depth map. And then using the move tool to bring out the move widget, we can use this small box here to scale our depth frills along the Z-axis, like so, just to make everything a little bit thinner. Excellent. And then once you're happy with that, let's go back to the current view, change it to the front view in the properties panel so we can see the front of our text. And then what we need to do from here is we want to scale the text or the frill mesh so that they match their original positioning. So select our frill text, then in the properties panel, go to coordinates. And then over here, we want to scale the values here until our text fits inside our frills. Once you've done that, go ahead and select the frill text and change the X rotation to 90 degrees. And then select the depth map and do the same as well. Select the frill text again. And then inside the 3D panel, click on the menu icon and select Move Object to Ground Plane. And this will bring it down to the floor. We want to do the same with the depth map. And then from here, let's go ahead and move the depth map just a little bit higher so that it's centered with our text. So we can zoom in here to make it a little bit easier to see. Just make sure that it's in the center of our text like so. And then if we go back to the current view and then just sort of move around, we can then see what our text looks like. Excellent. Now select the frill material tab here. And then we want to go ahead and select the base color icon here. And over here, we want to go ahead and select remove texture. Let's do the same for opacity and select remove texture. Now let's go ahead and select all the material tabs for our text like so, including the depth map material. And now let's go ahead and click on the base color here. And let's change this to a green color. So over here, let's change this value to 81, 173, and 13, like so. Then click OK. And now let's go ahead and add the bump texture to our balloon. So from here, let's select the front inflation material tab. And from here, we want to select the height. And from here, we want to add and select load texture. Find the location of your bump pattern, open it up, and then you'll see straight away this texture has been added to our material. Now let's go back to the height, click on the icon here, and we want to select Edit UV Properties. From here, we can adjust the tile values based on how many creases you'd like to have on the material. So let's go ahead and change these values to 1, like so. And then the offsets to 0%. Excellent. Then go ahead and click OK. And from here, we want to lower the height value from 10% to 1%. Awesome. Now, this is a good time to go back to our current view on our camera. And let's go ahead and save the view that we've got. So once you've changed the view and you like what you are seeing in the preview panel here, just go to the drop down box here and select Save. Then you can name your 3D view. So let's go ahead and name this Final View and then click OK. And then anytime you change your camera, you can always go back to the view menu here and select Final View to get back the view that we were looking at. So let's do this again. To adjust the lighting, click the Infinite Light tab here. And then in the type, let's change it to Spot. And then click on the point of origin icon here to fix the lighting. And then move to View to move the camera to our viewpoint here. Now let's go ahead and change the intensity from 90% to 10. And then the shadow softness to 30%, the hotspot value to 26.2 degrees, and the cone to 47 degrees. Click on the light fall off box and change the outer value to 1000 and the inner value to 350. Like so. Now, if we go ahead and go back to the current view, we can then zoom out, move the camera around, and select our light, and actually use the move tool to move the light around. Like so. So choose a light setting that you like for your light. And then once you're happy with that, let's go back to the current view and then change the current view to the final view. Next, let's go ahead and select the Environment tab. And from here, we want to click on the IBL icon here. And let's go ahead and select Replace Texture. Now let's go ahead and select Load Texture. And let's go ahead and choose the photo texture with our studio lights. Select Open. And now let's change the IBL intensity to 60%. Change the opacity to 60%. And then from there, we want to just move the image around until you get an effect on our text that you like. So you can see very, very vaguely how this ball here is affecting the highlights of our text. So just keep an eye on that and see the text shapes, the light shapes that you like. And then once you're happy with that, we can move on to the next stage, which is how to create our ground plane. From here, let's create a new layer on top of our text layer and rename this ground. We're then going to choose the rectangle tool. Make sure that the fill is set to white. And we're just going to create a new rectangle like so. And then from here, let's right click and rasterize that layer. And then from here, let's go to 3D and select new mesh layer, which is down here. And then choose postcard. Choose 3D postcard with a source for the selected layer, which is ground. Click on create. And then choose the current view tab. And then under the view, let's go ahead and change it from the default camera to the text camera, like so. And then what we want to do is we want to merge the ground layer with the text layer. So let's go ahead and select both of these. And then go to 3D. And then we want to select Merge 3D Layers, like so. Excellent. Now what we want to do is we want to move the ground mesh plane. So select the ground mesh, go to the coordinates, change the X degrees to 90, And then we want to select move to ground, like so. Then once you've done that, let's go ahead and choose the move tool. And we want to move this ground plane so that it fills up our scene, like so. Now we might want to go to the current view again and just make sure that the ground plane is below our text. Now let's go ahead and create the texture for our ground. So select the ground mesh and then go ahead and select the material for our ground mesh. And from here, let's go ahead and click on the diffuse box here. And we want to remove this texture. And let's go ahead and load a new texture here. Select the texture that you want to use for your ground and then click on open. And then once that's been loaded, we want to then go ahead and click on the diffuse texture icon again. And then we want to select edit texture. This will open up our texture in another Photoshop window. And then from here, let's go ahead and make a few adjustments to it. So click on the create new fill or layer adjustment layer icon down at the bottom here. And we want to choose hue and saturation. And let's go ahead and change the hue to -20 and the saturation to -80. Let's go ahead and choose a levels adjustment layer here. And let's change the levels here to 1.5, like so. And then once you've done that, let's go ahead and save the texture. And then go back into our 3D document. Excellent. Now let's select the opacity and we want to just remove the texture for our opacity. Select the base color here again and select edit UV properties. And from here, let's go ahead and change the tile to 3, just to give our background a little bit more detail. And then select OK. Now let's create a normal map. So go to normal at the bottom here, click on that, and then select generate normal from base color. So let's bring this tab up here so you can see what it says. And here you can select generate normals from base color, like so. And this will open up the generate normal map box. From here, let's go ahead and change some settings. From here, we can change the blur to 2.5 and the detail scale to 20%. And if we go ahead and change the object to cube wrap, hopefully we should be able to see the effects of our normal map, like so. So play around with these values until you like a result that you get, and then click OK. Finally, let's go ahead and add some final adjustments to our material of our text here. So let's go ahead and select the material for our text. Let's choose an interior color. And we're just going to choose a nice bright yellow color, like so. And then we're going to change the glow to about 15%. We're going to change the metallic setting to 90%. The roughness to about 5%. Keep the height at 2%. And then we're just going to do exactly the same for the frill as well. So let's choose a nice bright yellow color for our frill. And then again, the glow at 15%. metallic at 90% and the roughness at 5%. Again, keeping the height at 2%. And then once you've done that, you're ready to render. Make sure that you have selected your final view in the current view tab, and then go ahead and select 3D and then select render 3D layer to render your picture. So that's it for this video. Feel free to experiment with different lighting setups and different fonts to create your own 3D balloon image. If you liked this video and would like to see more, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to hit the bell icon to be notified of any new and inspiring videos. If you're looking to learn even more, check out some of the other tutorials in the channel. So have fun, and I'll see you next time on Tuts Plus.